Hi folks, welcome back to Marvelous Videos, where today we're going to explore all that we know about the upcoming prequel of the 2005 British horror movie, The Descent. But before we continue, if you're new here, we have a tiny request. Please subscribe to our channel, as it's just a click of a button for you, but for us, it would mean another valuable subscriber. Thank you.
I'm fine.
The enduring legacy of The Descent. Written and directed by Neil Marshall, The Descent follows a thrill-seeker named Sarah. One day, after a whitewater rafting trip, Sarah is picked up by her husband Paul and daughter Jessica. On the way home, they meet with an accident that kills both Paul and Jessica. A year later, Sarah goes on a spelunking adventure with her friends Juno and Beth, newcomer Holly, and sisters Sam and Rebecca. The trip takes a turn for the worse when they realize they're stuck in the cave system. They soon discover that the place has creepy humanoid creatures called the Crawlers who prey and feed on the humans who get caught spelunking. After Holly is killed and eaten by the Crawlers, the others find markings by previous cavers that point to a potential exit. Sarah deduces that the Crawlers are blind and use sound to hunt. She also makes the unfortunate discovery that Paul was having an affair with Juno before he died. Then she's accidentally injured and begs her friends to end her misery by killing her. So Sarah reluctantly kills her with a rock. The group puts up a valiant effort defending themselves from the Crawlers and even manages to kill a bunch, but the Crawlers have a home base advantage. After Rebecca and Sam also end up being killed by Crawlers, Sarah confronts Juno about the affair and stabs her with a pickaxe. As Sarah climbs out, a group of Crawlers attack Juno, and she hears Juno's last screams. She then falls into a hole and gets knocked out. When she wakes up, she sees sunlight coming in and finds her way out. While driving away, she is overcome with emotion and has to stop to throw up. She sees a bloody Juno beside her and screams. That's when she wakes up in the cave again as the Crawlers inch closer to her. The movie grossed over $57 million against its modest budget of £3.5 million. That's around $4,600,000 by today's conversion rates. Though the film had the potential to do even better, the 7/7 London bombings had an adverse effect. People had been trapped underground, and nobody was really interested in seeing a fictional film of people being trapped underground. Even with the damper, the critics took a liking to it because of the strong performances by the actors, the fresh plotline, and nightmare imagery. It was obvious that a sequel was scheduled, and in 2009, The Descent Part 2 hit the theaters. Sarah actually escapes in this film, but has amnesia. She is taken back to the cave with Sheriff Vanes, Deputy Rios, and cave specialists Greg, Kath, and Dan to find the missing women. Old Man Ed, who operates an old mine shaft, sends them in. As they crawl through the caves, Sarah gets a flashback and she attacks Vanes and Greg before fleeing. The group splits up to search for her, but Vanes accidentally shoots his pistol in the dark after being startled by a Crawler, and that causes part of the cavern to collapse and trap Kath. Meanwhile, they find Holly's video camera and realize the horrible danger lurking in the cave system. Juno, who's still alive, confronts Sarah for deserting her, but Rios lies to her that Sarah brought them to the cave to save her. In the end, the Crawlers get the better of them yet again, and only Rios manages to reach the surface. Unfortunately, Ed knocks her out with a shovel and drags her back to the cave entrance, where Crawlers emerge to feed. Though Neil Marshall did not direct the sequel, he oversaw the movie as an executive producer. The sequel didn't do as well as the original film, and Marshall later commented that it was an unnecessary film as the first film had concluded itself. Idea for a prequel. While the sequel did not appease fans, you have to admit that the idea of The Descent is pretty original. Despite The Descent's two less-than-stellar performance, ardent fans were hoping to see a third film, this time with Marshall behind the camera again. 20 years after the release of the first film, fans might actually get their wish granted. While speaking to Metro UK, Marshall commented that the Descent franchise needs another film, considering all the prequels and sequels other film franchises have been churning out. He also added that he was going to follow recent trends and maybe create a prequel, as he has always been interested in figuring out what happened to the miners who went down the cave the very first time. Though Marshall's words were hopeful, there has been no official confirmation of a prequel, nor has there been any production buzz around the film. Many others think that the idea of a Descent prequel is just beating a dead cow. According to them, Marshall has lost his touch, and his last good project was his Game of Thrones episodes. Others echo his words after the release of The Descent 2, as they too believe that the first movie wrapped up the story and there's no need for more. Exploring the origins of the crawlers also seems a bit redundant to a few, as the unknown is what makes the movie so scary. Behind the scenes of the caves. We're not sure what will come from Marshall's comments or whether there will be a definite prequel, but until then, let's explore how Marshall came up with the idea for crawlers. Neil Marshall was fresh off Dog Soldiers, which was a moderate success. Though he wanted to shoot a claustrophobic cave film, Marshall was hesitant, as he didn't want to be pigeonholed into the horror genre. He later decided to do it anyway, as The Descent, with its all-female cast and unique setting, was completely different from Dog Soldiers. While thinking about women stuck in a cave, he came up with the idea of something human but not really human that could attack the women. He initially thought of them as cavemen who never left the caves and evolved in the dark to be expert climbers with acute hearing and smell. He envisioned an entire colony, full with men, women, and children, as he wanted to depict a feral and primal species underground. Makeup and prosthetics creator Paul Hyatt designed the crawlers, and they were heavily inspired by Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. They even had huge white eyes to resemble the titular character Nosferatu. But this idea was later abandoned as they looked too silly. The crawlers we've come to fear in The Descent needed 3.5 hours in the makeup chair to be perfected. Speaking of inspiration, Nosferatu was not the only movie that had an influence on The Descent. Marshall took notes from Deliverance, The Thing, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre to build the tension in the film. Since it was impossible to film inside caves, a lot of sets were created to give a true claustrophobic feeling. Did you know that the movie had 2 different endings? The original ending, the one we described, was shown mostly in Europe, where Sarah never actually left the cave. American test audiences absolutely hated this ending, calling it uber hopeless. So the climax was changed, and the movie ended with Sarah driving out, stopping to puke, and when she settles in the car, hallucinating a bloody Juno in the passenger seat. If you absolutely hate the crawlers and can ignore The Descent 2, we have a popular fan theory you might like. According to this theory, the crawlers do not actually exist and are just a figment of Sarah's imagination. Sarah was so overcome with the grief of losing 2 of her loved ones and the shock of realizing that the love of her life and her friend were having an affair behind her back that she went insane. Sarah was the one who killed all her friends, but her slipped grip on reality created the crawlers in her mind. Marvelous verdict. What do you think about the prequel? Is it worth making or not? Let us know in the comments below. If there is a prequel, we hope to see the connection between Old Man Ed and the crawlers, as he seems to be helping them. Anyways, only time will tell if Marshall's ideas will materialize. If you liked the video, please let us know by tapping that thumbs up. And explore our other videos before we come up with new, more exciting ones. And until then, goodbye.